And I remember the very first I was so excited to finally open up the shop that it was like kind of late in the day when I was like, "Oh, I can open up the shop," and I put something in the chat. And then I think like only Etho showed up and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible."
Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp and Skizz podcast.
All right, Skizz. We are fortunate enough today to be joined by the one, the only Vintagebeef. Welcome to the show, Beef. How
What's
you
up,
doing,
buddy?
man?
Thank you so much. Nothing is up. Nothing is up. The
Nothing's up.
usual stuff, work, had a baby. not so long ago.
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal.
And just toss
Nothing
it
is
in
up.
there.
Just the usual.
Your life has been a little busy lately.
A little different.
I've heard.
Yeah.
A little different.
Oh my goodness.
We'll dive into that. We'll definitely dive into that. But as we usually like to do with guests on the show, we like to assume that people, not everybody knows who you are, what you do on the tubes of you and other things. So if you can, I love putting our guests on the spot straight away.
Yeah.
If you give us a little
good.
synopsis, a little background info on who you are and what is it that you do in this world.
Sure. Do you want to describe physical features, weights, maybe?
Whatever
you
you're
want to
comfortable
go into
with.
that kind of detail, usually people stick with like what they do for on YouTube and
Yeah.
stuff and how long you've been doing it, that kind of synopsis.
Yeah.
But I'll let you roll. B.
You decide.
This
I'll
is
decide.
your time, man.
I started a YouTube channel back in April of 2011, so it'll be going on 14 years in a few months, so long time. Basically, yeah, all Minecraft at the beginning. I dabbled in some different games throughout my YouTube career, but mostly remained with Minecraft. Have been doing it since. It turned into my full-time job, I think, like a year, probably less than a year, actually, after I started my channel.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was fortunate
Wow.
enough to hop on the Mindcrack train early, and then the rest is history, I guess.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
Mindcrack. It's always hard not to get that confused with Minecraft. Mindcraft.
Mindcrack. Yeah.
Crack.
Is it Mindcrack or
Mind.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like,
crack.
shouldn't it be Mindcrack? But it's Mindcrack. Yeah. All right. Very good.
Oh man, and I'll tell you, Beef. Like, I obviously when I got started, like into Minecraft and learning about YouTubers and doing Let's Plays and stuff, Mindcrack was all the rage, of course. And you were one of the biggest of the group. A lot of us just looked up to you in the way that you made your videos and stuff. And I remember being like, how does that happen? How does this group of amazing people come together?
Yeah.
If you could tell me
even
like
before-
how you got into
Yeah.
Mindcrack, that would be an amazing story to hear.
Yeah.
I was gonna say even before I joined, it was already like the place to be because I wasn't one of the original members. I kind of got in through a contest. Good started Mindcrack with his, I think his IRL friends at first, and then he invited some people to play that he met online, and then he held a contest to, I guess it was just make the best video or something like that. And I kind of licked his boots a little bit, and I did my video was like a Mindcrack museum where I recreated or I rebuilt things that he had built or the server had built in sort of like a museum sort of build. And he picked me, and I think it was W92 Badge at the time. I think we were the two that were invited to the server after that
nice.
contest.
Nice. I remember
Yeah.
Bash. I think I met Bash in Orlando in 2013. That's when I first saw you. I don't know if I was just a nobody. I had a channel and stuff, but like obviously you weren't gonna know who I was, so it's kind of like there's Beef. The most exciting thing I remember about that convention in Orlando, Minecon, was that it was the first time anybody had ever seen what you look like. You were very secretive about your identity up until
I blame
then.
Good.
Did he talk
Yeah.
you into
Well,
it? Was it one of those
he
things like
talked
we
me
want to
into
hang
it.
out, and obviously in order to come hang out,
Exactly.
you had no choice but to
That's exactly what it was. That's he kept bugging me to go and check out some Minecons and just hang out with them. And it's like, well, you got to show your face. Like, we're not gonna what are we, blurring faces? What is this? So yeah, I mean, I was just like, whatever. I wasn't actively avoiding showing what I looked like, really, but it has just never been important to me in the grand scheme of content creation on YouTube. I've never really been like a face cam person, so to me, it was never really that important. But yeah, it had to happen eventually.
Face cams back then, I don't think were a big part of Minecraft Let's Play content creators. Like I don't remember like anybody really doing face cam. So you were your character, so much so that people were shocked to see that you actually had legs.
Yeah, I got to know what is this? Like I heard you mention it a little bit, and I'm like, what does that mean? You're shocked that you have legs. What is this about? Give me the backstory. I need it.
Oh, well, it actually relates to the Minecon experience because that was so. I wouldn't go to Minecons because I'm not really one for social gatherings.
Okay.
I'm not really into the large groups of people, so I would kind of avoid going to these Minecons and these just get-togethers and stuff. And so Good decided that the reason I wasn't is because I couldn't leave the house because I didn't have legs. That was his joke.
He just made the joke and it stuck.
He just made the joke and it just stuck. And it still to this day, I still see comments sometimes like, "Oh, look!" I recently posted a picture of my little guy, my newborn, and I showed just his little feet. And one of the comments was, "Hey, glad to see he has legs."
God.
Oh yeah,
people still
thanks,
pulling
Goot.
out that decade-old joke. I love it.
It's amazing how things just stick. My father-in-law at one point decided that I'm afraid of bridges. The context was nothing. It was out of the clear blue sky. He's like, well, he's afraid of bridges. Now everybody's like, so what's your hang up on bridges? I'm like, no, nothing. And people just grab onto it. And somebody took away half your body and the world ran with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really did.
I don't know
They
why.
really did.
I don't know if I made up my own lore behind this, but I thought it had something to do with you falling off a cliff in one of your series or something. And
so that was something. So that's where the term "did a beef" or "did a vintage beef" came from. I was playing on the Mindcrack server my very first season, and I had like the Iron Man streak going. I hadn't died at all for quite a few episodes. And then while I was building a pool in my mansion, I was low on hearts, and honestly, I think I fell less than 10 blocks, but that's how I died. Like I fell down, and so then I was known. Anytime somebody fell, it was like, oh, you pulled a vintage beef, or you did a vintage beef.
okay, for some reason, my brain put that together with the no legs story, and it's like, oh, he fell and his legs fell off or something.
Yeah,
Broke his legs so bad they had to amputate. I don't know what my brain did there, but I thought they were related somehow. But it was just a joke that Good just pulled out of nowhere.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, out of nowhere. And
So-
then people were like, yeah, that's why.
Beef, 1.5 million subs. You're rocking what 587 million views, whatever it is. What did you do before this? I'm hearing you used to be a butcher. Is it first before we go down that rabbit hole? Is that true? Did you used to be a butcher?
Kind of. I mean, I worked for the meat department in a grocery store. So
Okay,
I guess.
I
mean, I did
Yeah.
cut meat. I did cut meat. Yeah.
Customers come up and they're like, I want a T-bone, and you'd have to go cut it off the slab, or
True. Yeah, I
Stuff
guess
like
so.
that.
I've never really considered myself like
Or
an
you
official butcher. I feel like I don't have the pedigree to be called a butcher.
you just had the big slab of ham and you put it on the thing and you just slid it across the
A
slicer.
bandsaw.
Right?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It was just a bandsaw
Okay.
thing.
I'm glad you were careful with that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to play Minecraft if you slice some
That's
digits.
how I lost my legs.
Is that how we got Vintage Beef? Is that how your name came to be?
Pretty much. I was so I'd originally started a channel, and those channels you see nowadays with like all the X's in front of them, and like at the end, like the channel names has.
Yep.
So I had like capital X, small x, and then my channel name was like Space Invader, small x, capital X, something like that. I didn't like it, so I'm like, you know what? I need a new channel name. This is terrible. So I just started doing I just started looking up synonyms really for like back in the day or olds, because when I was this so-called butcher, I was a teenager and I started my channel much later. So I was like, okay, so I used to be in the meat departments. That's where the beef came from, and then vintage for like back in the day, or a long time ago. I used to be in the meat department, so it kind of just mashed a couple words together, and that's what stuck.
Vintage Beef. It's absolutely perfect. It totally makes sense. So,
Well, at first too, when you'd Google it, it would not be. It wasn't like family-friendly images that came up either. Yeah, it was weird. Now it's fine.
Now
it's fine.
Okay,
I've taken over the algorithm, I guess.
Yeah,
when
good
you
job.
search those-
Good job wiping that off the internet. At least from the top 10
You're
results, anyway.
welcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate that. When we have guests on, we like to look up the wikis and stuff and learn about them. And for some reason, I didn't know this, but you and I are the same age. Did
The
you know
exact
that?
same age.
Yeah.
Are we
I mean,
talking?
we weren't on the month and day, but I mean,
Gotcha.
I think
I
we're
didn't know that
5
now.
months apart in age. That's
Interesting.
it. Like, yeah,
Huh.
I didn't know that all this
Wait,
time.
who's older?
Me. I was born in March, and you were born
Nice.
in August, right? Is that
All
right?
right. Yeah, you're
We're
right.
fact checking with you because not everything you read on the internet's true.
No,
But,
it's true.
yeah. So yeah, you're what, 5 months? You're 5 months younger than me, young
5
man.
months, you're junior. That's been
Yeah.
a long time since I can say I'm someone's junior.
But yeah, I thought that was wild. I was just reading through your wiki write up, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know that we were so
I
close
had
in
no.
age.
I don't even know. Like, honestly, I couldn't tell you the hermit's ages specifically.
I know
I
a
could
few.
maybe give you a range, but I don't think
Yeah.
I could tell you anybody's actual.
Oh,
age.
there's videos out there where they've gone through like each hermit. And,
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
I think my favorite one is XB. They've like got his way off.
Do they?
Yeah, yeah.
really?
Nobody has his real age, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, those are always fun to see. But yeah, somehow I didn't put it together that you and I were like basically the same age, which is super cool. And you
Nice
said you
young-
kind of
young
started
age.
late, like your butcher stuff was in your teens. You didn't actually
Yeah.
start. I mean, I didn't do the math, but when did you? How old do you remember being when you like uploaded your first video?
So I was 14 years ago. So whatever that math works out to be,
Yeah, that's late 20s,
late
right?
20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, late 20s.
29 or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, same kind of ballpark here. Yeah, I started after you, of course, but not by much.
Not by much.
So
yeah.
yeah, we've been doing it for a while.
No
So
kidding.
tell us about, I mean, the Mindcrack stuff, because I was a fanboy, right? I went to the party, the Mindcrack party that you guys had like the Friday night
Nice.
before Minecon
Yeah.
Orlando. You guys rented out like a arcade bowling alley thing, and it was off the hook. And there was so many people there, and you guys were had lines of people for autographs and stuff. Like, do you remember those days? Like, what are your memories of those days? Did you feel like a rock star? Because to me, you were.
Well, a specific memory about that party was that we stayed behind and cleaned up till 5 in the morning
Oh
after
my
that party, and
gosh.
then we had the panel the next day. So we were exhausted.
Oh
Like
my
it wasn't
gosh.
even funny. But yeah, we had to. We had to clean up all that stuff ourselves. Yeah, it felt crazy. The first time I remember leaving the hotel room and walking into the convention center, and I think Good had already posted a video of what I looked like the night before, and I got maybe 10 feet out of those doors, and I was stuck there for hours just signing things. It was absolutely insane. I had no idea that was going to happen. Like, that was crazy.
Right.
I'm glad that doesn't happen. I mean, I would get recognized all the time. I'm glad it doesn't happen anymore, because it can be pretty, what's the word? Intimidating, really. Like somebody, it's kind of like people are like idolizing you, and I don't like that feeling too much.
It's wild, right? Like,
It's like, I'm just a dude who plays video games on the internet. I don't need to sign things for you, but okay.
it was fun to watch, like from the outside looking in as a fan, and obviously I admired what you guys were doing on Mindcrack, big fan, and I just thought it was super cool to watch how every single one of you stood in that line. Like, you stood there and got through your lines, and you met every single person that wanted to meet you, and it was a long night. I don't think I saw you guys move much. People were having to like bring you waters and stuff. Like,
Oh yeah, we
it
all had our
was-
little stations.
yeah, it was really cool to see. Like, you guys were all just so gracious to everybody that wanted to take a picture with you and get autographs and stuff. And that's when I realized, like, this is a cool group of people.
Yeah.
The whole Mindcrack group was
Yeah,
really
we were a good
cool.
bunch.
You had
Still are.
you had a specific group that you did a little more with, called
Mhm.
Team Canada, right?
Yeah.
Ethopause and yourself.
That's right.
You guys did a lot of like CTM maps that capture the monuments.
Mhm.
I remember those like being they went really well. How did
Those
how did
Vex
that come
maps.
about? The Team Canada thing.
That is a good question. I think all it was I met. I think Paz got onto the server quite a long time after I did, the Mindcrack server, and we were both pranking Good. I think it was just me and Paz, And so we got to chatting and we kind of became friends. And then when Etho got on, I think Etho got on even after Pause, if I'm not mistaken. I could have that wrong, but we also got to chatting with Etho and realized we're all Canadian. And then we're like, hey, we should just do this map because we all just got along. It's like the Canadian, it's like a universal Canadian sense of humor. Everybody kind of got everybody else.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, this is great hanging out with you guys. Let's just do like a custom map. And so we've done a bunch of them since then. Like I think even last year we did one. So it still happens, even though Paz doesn't really record videos anymore. He streams occasionally, I believe, but yeah, we're still doing them almost to this day.
That's awesome. So you still talk to Paz, obviously. If just a year ago you guys did a map together. Any other peeps from Mindcrack you keep up with? You hang out with still or talk to at least on occasion? Yeah,
I've chatted with Good quite a few times. Seth Bling as well. I've done a couple things with Seth. I think last year as well. Baj occasionally will have like the Twitter back and forth. I think that's probably about it, but yeah, just still friendly with everybody. And I get invited to like the Mindcrack marathons every year. I think they do them biannually. I get invites to them all the time. Sometimes I can make them, sometimes I can't. But yeah, I'm still very much in contact with a lot of those people.
Very cool.
I can see why. I'm going to tell you that right now. My first day on the Hermitcraft server, there was, obviously a little bit of nerves going, and I was lucky enough to be paired up with you and Doc and Cleo, and we were, we were mining, and I remember thinking like, all right, in my own head, I remember thinking, all right, Skizz, so here's the deal. These are professionals that you're dealing with here, and I'm have my own level of confidence in my ability to riff and do the yes ands. I did theater when I was a kid or whatever, but I couldn't just assume that whatever approach I had was going to automatically fit. I could only stay hopeful. And the next thing I know, I've been in this cave for what felt like less than 2 minutes, and Beef and I are just hitting it off, just playing off. It was so good. We had so much fun. And I realized early on, as much as I get along with everybody I get to, I felt like, and we haven't had enough collaboration for me to really test this, but I felt like your humor and my humor was like the most aligned. And it wasn't until the Big Salmon stuff. And there was, just sort of came out of nowhere where when Doc was talking, he was knocking salmon, eating salmon, or people who bring salmon to parties. And then he said, well, I'm not trying to, diss people who like salmon. And my brain was like, is Doc trying to do like damage control? And I got barely through that thought, and Beef saw, look at PR Doc coming out now or whatever. I was like, whoa, he was thinking the same thing. And then we did the whole Big Salmon thing, Big Salmon's coming after you. And I'm like, okay, so this guy Beef just created this fictitious enterprise called Big Salmon on the spot based on a conversation that was completely unscripted. And then you and I started riffing on what it would be like. Next thing I know, we have skins. We're doing these skits of Big Salmon coming after Doc. And I'm like, yeah, this right here, this is what I was hoping I was going to get to do, was be able to riff with somebody that can do it at the same cadence. And we had that. I'm hoping that there's more for us in the future, not necessarily Big Salmon, or maybe, I don't care. What I do know is that I really enjoyed what we had in that moment. So it's not surprising for me to hear that you're still very much getting on just fine with these people that you used to work with. So is this, I'm going to ask Beef to open up. Have you always been that guy, Beef? Have you just always been the guy? I mean, you're Canadian, so right away people are going to like you because all Canadians are super nice. But have you always been that guy that just people gravitate to and just get along with since you were a kid?
I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I don't know.
So
have I?
humble.
I don't know. You'd have to ask other people. I mean, I'm not confrontational. I like just playing around, being silly, having fun. Like it's just, I guess that's just my personality. I'm not really, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I actively try to do it. So maybe that's why I don't notice if it does or doesn't happen. But if it happens, it happens. I mean, the friends that I've had for since high school, like, and that's only because I didn't meet them before high school, like it lasts a long time. So I think maybe there's something to that, but maybe I'm just silly and they like being around silly people.
No, it's non-confrontational, not really interested in intimidating, and just get along with people. I guess it makes perfect sense.
That day one on Hermitcraft, by the way, was like the most fun I've had on day ones on a server in a long time. It was just so much fun. Like the whole concept of just hanging out and doing this little competition, and then having Doc misinterpreted
Oh.
because of his.
Yeah.
And at one point, I think he says, "I don't." What did he say? I don't like editing.
I don't like.
Oh yeah, I don't like to do editing, and we heard him say, "I don't like to do anything," and we
Yeah.
just started like laughing at him, and he's like, "What are you laughing about?"
And you're the one who actually corrected me because I was just like, "Whoa, that's kind of a blanket statement, Doc." I was
Yeah.
like, "Your therapist is going to have a field day with that one." I don't
Yeah.
like to do anything.
Yeah.
And then you, Beef, you're like, "No, editing," and I'm like, "Oh, editing."
I've had more experience with Doc. I can understand him a little.
Yeah, he can translate through Doc's German accent a little better. That's funny. So I wasn't with you guys that first day on the server. I headed off towards the mountain, and but you guys were doing like a competition for like getting ores and stuff. I take it.
Yeah, Ren had put on this thing where he put together these teams of people to go out for X amount of minutes, and everybody come back, and whoever. What was the what did you win? I don't.
You won whatever everybody
was
else
gathered.
collected.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sort of like an Abba caving team mode.
And
sort
that's
of
why I
thing.
wanted to talk about this, because Abba caving was your thing. Didn't you come up with
That's
that, Beef?
I did. And the reason I called it Abba caving was I came up with this idea to do like a caving where the winner takes it all, and Abba's got that song, "The Winner Winner Takes It All." However, the first time I did Abba caving, I did it with Anders, who is Swedish. So I'm like, perfect. I'm doing it with a Swedish guy, Swedish band Abba. "The Winner Takes It All." That's what we're calling it, Abba caving.
Okay.
That's so brilliant,
my
man.
mind is blowing up. I remember doing. You just came from Beef.
Yeah, Beef came up with this.
Oh my God, we used to do that back in the whole SMB days.
Mhm.
We were on a server we called SMB back in the day, and we were doing Abba caving. And I remember subtly questioning it, like, why is it called Abba? Why is it named after this band? Like, what is this?
Yep.
And that's it. And I assumed that it couldn't have possibly been named after the band. It had to be some sort of acronym. I just didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Definitely named after the band. Definitely.
Doesn't that feel pretty cool to come up with something that like
That's
other
cool.
people were using, right? Like Skizz just mentioned, it was part of a SMP server that him and I belonged to before Hermitcraft and before a lot of the stuff, and we were doing it. We were like, let's do Abba caving, and it was your thing. Like we were emulating it. So
It's definitely cool.
that
Yeah,
is
it's a cool
neat.
feeling. I mean, and I've been fortunate to have like the friends that I've made on the internet, like Good, myself, Pause, and Bash did the first UHC ever. We actually even wrote the mod for it. Like, I had
Wow.
somebody write the mod for it. So that was something too. That came from like a comment that Good made during one of his playthroughs. He's like, "Wouldn't it be cool if when you lost health, you didn't regain it?" And it clicked in my head. I'm like, "Hold on, that would be really cool." And then I contacted, I believe the mod maker's name was SBK Silence. I think I still remember it. And they wrote the mod for me, and then we played it shortly afterwards, and it was a hit. And yeah, it's awesome seeing people play things that kind of like you come up with just kind of on the fly, and it's like, oh, this might be kind of fun. And then years down the line, people are still doing it. So it's amazing.
you are quite the innovator, entrepreneur. I
No
mean,
question.
we can. I wasn't expecting to get to this already, but TCG
Oh,
is another brainchild of yours, and that's obviously been a huge hit. So I'm gonna let you take the floor on
Yeah.
this to give us how did the idea of TCG come about in your head, and how did you go about creating it? Just not only in Minecraft, but obviously with the physical trading cards through Creo. I want to know. I want the deets, man. I
it's
want to know
worth-
how this all came about.
It's worth pumping the brakes for a second, and just in case there's people listening who don't know what TCG is, it literally stands for trading card game, right? And I have
Mhm.
very, very limited exposure to what this is, but it's an entire culture of trading card games. They've been out for a long time, but you found a way to create it in Minecraft and then bring that to a worldly reality. Tell us the story from beginning to end, because this is one of the most impressive journeys I've seen in all of this. So
Same,
sure.
take it away, man.
I'll try my best not to leave anything out because it's a bit of a long story. So season 7 on the Hermitcraft server, I made a bunch of maps, and I decided I was going to start a little music shop, and I made like album art. So some of my favorite albums, I turned maps into the album art, and then I'd sell the album art. And they took a really, really long time to make, like extremely long time to make. But I got through, I think I made 5 to 7, I can't remember exactly. And I got through them, and I'm like, this is really cool. Like maps, there's a real sort of opportunity here to do something special with maps. I think even later that season, I created like a for sale sign that I was going to sell to hermits. If they wanted to sell something, they just stick that map on their item that they're selling, and it would just said for sale.
Hmm.
But yeah, I kind of let that idea kind of just breathe a little bit after season 7. Season 8, I think this is public knowledge, but we kind of knew it was going to be a short season. So I thought, okay, the maps take forever. I can't do anything with maps season 8. Season 9, before season 9 started, I was actually on my Patreon server. And I believe it was, I always forget this person's name, unfortunately, but I believe it was Hojop. Hojop on my Patreon server was handing out books that had kind of like, I don't know what they're called. It's just artwork made out of like, what are they called? Just like slashes. I don't know.
like
I'm sure there's
ASCII
like
characters.
Exactly. And so he was handing out books. And I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. It's like, wait a minute, can I make this into like a collectible game? And so the mind started turning a little bit. And then I'm like, wait, well, I want to make it a little bit more detailed than what the books show, right? So then my mind went back to like the maps, and I thought, yeah, I can do that with the maps. So then that kind of turned into, well, what do I want to make it? Like, why are people collecting these things? It should be a game. It should be a playable game. So I started making a very, very basic, stripped down TCG game. And I made sure that every map that I made was easily reproducible with like different, like the hermit cards are hard to make because you got to get rid of a lot of blocks. However, like the item cards, for example, I made them all exactly the same except for the middle item. So all I'd have to do is recreate the middle item, therefore cutting my production time down quite a bit. So that's where the idea came from. It was a combination of like the season 7 thing, and then the Hojop kind of reminding me like, oh, this would be cool, like to have collectability with items in Minecraft. So that came from that. And then I devoted the entire season 9 to it pretty much. Like every episode, I really appreciate people who actually watch the videos and stuff because it was, I can only imagine it was extremely repetitive. Because every episode I'd reveal like 2, 3, 4 more cards that I've made, and people would be like, "Great, you're doing great," and
Dude,
I'm like, "Thank you for watching."
I gotta be honest because I didn't know anything about trading card games. Like I've never done Pokemon or Magic the Gathering or any of that stuff. Right? Didn't know anything about it, and I just heard that Beef's whole season is making maps, and I'm like, how is he making a season out of this? Like
Right?
I'm trying
I know.
my brain's trying to wrap itself around like, how is he making content from this?
Yeah, I tried to
map
have
making is
some
hard.
interactions and stuff. Yeah, I tried to mix it up, but most 90% of it was just like me kind of showing the map. So I'd make the maps off camera, and then it would be like me showing what I made and how the maps would work in the game, and then it was all game related. But I don't think I actually made one episode where I sat there and actually like went through a whole map making thing. It's just so boring, and it literally takes hours and hours to make one. So it would not make for the best viewing. Maybe for a stream or something, but not for like a YouTube video.
What is the dimensions of one of those maps? Of
128 by 128 blocks, I think.
God.
Yeah, I think it's like 100
It
or
is
16.
it is
Oh.
it is rough. It is rough making maps. I remember season 9 I made a 2x4 because I wanted like a billboard type thing on my shop,
I'm doing math.
and I had to do 8 maps to make it.
Yeah.
And I remember by the end of it, I was like, I'm never doing a map ever again. And
Yeah.
then I look over and Beef's on like his 30th map of the season. I'm all, I don't know how this dude's doing it. Like, what a machine.
Dude, that is over 16,000 blocks
That's crazy.
per map.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Not only that, like
Well,
you have
like-
to
like
prepare
I
the
said-
surface first, right? Like you have to
Right,
make
that's
a
true.
flat ground.
Yeah, but then that's your
But
canvas.
I
Yeah,
knew
canvas.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to take that long. That's why, like I said, I mentioned I kind of designed them where I wanted a minimum amount of blocks that need to be replaced per map. So they all kind of have the same outline. They all have kind of like the same starburst pattern behind them. And then I just change what's in the middle. For the hermit maps, it did get more complicated because I was doing backgrounds, the hermits, the names, the move names, the numbers. Like there was a lot more to change for the hermit maps.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, it was
That's
it was
incredible.
something.
So during
Oh.
during all this, right? You're making these maps, and you know they're going to turn into these like cards. You have this concept idea, right? As you're going, what was your confidence level that the hermits were going to actually like play this game and like it?
It was more of a hope level more than a confidence level, really. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope this like actually gets played. And I remember the very first I was so excited to finally open up the shop that it was like kind of late in the day when I was like, oh, I can open up the shop, and I put something in the chat. And then I think like only Etho showed up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. But that was but that was only because how I think B-Dubs actually also showed up. And then I think probably Joe and Cleo. So there was a small group that actually did show up for it. But then I know the next day it kind of exploded because people were actually online and available. And so I remember being in the shop and just people were buying cards and trading amongst each other. Like, and we all had the voice mod, so it was just chaos. Like it was a lot of chatter happening. But that was like a huge relief because after like a year of building maps, it would have been rough if nobody actually wanted to play the game.
Yeah.
But luckily the Hermits were awesome enough to kind of embrace it and play the game, and we even made a couple tournaments out of it and seasons, and yeah, it was great.
I had never, like I said, I'd never done any trading card game, anything, and so I had no idea. Like my first match when I come with my deck that I was given or whatever, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, so somebody explain it to me as I go. And I'm going, and it's complicated at first, and my brain's kind of the wheels are spinning a little bit, but my brain's like, I don't know if I could handle this. There's so much to figure out here. By the end of my first match, I was like, oh, I get it now. And this is so cool. And I was like, this is so awesome. And I was like, I'm gonna go upgrade my deck. Like I need a better deck,
That's the
and
best
so
part.
like
Yeah.
I go and like start building it out. I was like, oh, I get it. I get why there's like this engineering category. If I get these things together, now I have more power, and all this. I started to get it, and I was like,
Right.
oh, then it clicked. I'm like, oh, I see why people like these games.
Yeah.
And then I had a
TCGs
match
are
against
fun.
Doc that was like, I think we ended in the first ever tie or something
Oh,
like that.
nice.
Like we had
Yeah.
a move that took each other out for the tie at the end, and I was like, okay, that was cool. Like I could see why people get invested in this, and like even the audience was watching these matches either on live streams, and some people put them in videos, and they were like super into it. And I was like, it all started to click, and I was like, at the same time, I felt that same kind of relief for you. Like I knew how much work you put in.
Thank you.
And I was
Thank
like, and obviously part of me was like, I want to give this a go to support, my fellow hermit, and because I know how much work you put in, but I don't know if this is my thing. And sure enough, I was like, okay, yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, and then this like sense of like just being so proud of what you had accomplished, that I was like, good for him, man. Like, I'm so glad this seems to be paying off. And that was before you made it a physical thing.
Right. And that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like this is what I'm saying. TCG is a real world thing. But Beef brought it from the real world into Minecraft, made it something new and cool, and then brought it out of Minecraft back into the real world. That's the dynamic that I find very fascinating. So I want to hear the journey all the way to the end. Like what was that first conversation you had? What was your level of confidence that this was going to be a worthy endeavor, trying to bring it into a real, because my understanding is it was good. It was a good turnout. It was a good journey. Bringing
Lots
it
of
into
cards sold. I don't know if you have numbers,
you
but
guys did great. Yeah.
So as I was making the cards on the server, Creo cards, just so happened Luke of Creo Cards watched my videos, and he reached out and he's like, I would love to turn these cards into a real thing.
my God.
I didn't
way.
even reply to him. Because I'm like, there's
Beefy.
no way. This is not going to happen. We're not going to make this into a real thing. So I keep making cards, and then I get some hermits. Like I remember False specifically saying, like, you should turn this into a real thing. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we'll see. And then my wife is saying, this would be really cool as a real thing. And then my friends are like, you know what? You should make this into a real thing. So finally I was like, okay, well, I'll try to make it into a real thing. So I remembered that Creo reached out, and I went back and I reached out to Creo, and I did my own sort of research as well. Originally, I thought, you know what, it's probably going to sell decent. I think I can package these cards myself in my living room with my wife, and ship them out individually as I need to. And I'm glad I didn't go that route.
Oh my gosh.
It did turn out to be, dude. Yeah,
That would have
I
been
think it was-
unmanageable, bro.
No, I know it probably would have been, but I after doing that research, I'm like, well, let's talk to Creo and see what they have to offer. And then Luke just laid out everything for me. He's like, this is what we'll do. This is what is required to do this. Then we'll do this. Then we'll do that. And I'm like, this is like really professional. Like I was just gonna mail out cards, like just packages of cards. And Creo actually came up with like, you know what, we'll have a game board, we'll have a coin, we'll have these markers, we'll have this, but and it just looked beautiful and sounded amazing. I'm like, okay, let's work with Creo then. So I chose. I'm glad I did. Creo's been amazing since the beginning. Like it's been an incredible sort of working partnership with them. So I'm really glad I did, and I'm glad I didn't package these myself because after the first season, I think there is over 1.5 million cards in circulation.
Oh my gosh!
So that would have been a lot of packaging.
You've been
for
very busy,
myself.
dude. Very busy, dude. Rip your YouTube content creation part of your life.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. That would have been it. So yeah, that's kind of how it turned into a real life thing. I didn't do it with the intention at all of making it a real life thing. I didn't, to be honest. I thought there's no way I would get all of the hermits are great, but I thought there's no way I'd get all the hermits to agree to be like, use my likeness on this card and then put it out there. And I'm like, and I wouldn't blame anybody for not allowing that because it's kind of like it's a personal thing, right? Your name, your likeness is out there on a card now. But I approached every hermit individually, and every hermit was like, "Yeah, do it." Like very encouraging, and that's kind of how it happened. I was lucky enough that you guys were all on board. Lucky enough that people saw that this could be a real life thing, and lucky enough to partner with the right people. And it was a lot of luck.
Dude, there's, and I don't know how well you grasp this, but there are moments being made with families out there that have these physical cards that will sit down at game night at their kitchen table or wherever and play and make memories. Because I'm telling you this from experience. Me and my 13-year-old daughter have played Hermitcraft TCG together at the coffee table in my living room. And I taught her TCG, and we've made memories together playing this game that
awesome.
you created. So it
crazy,
is,
yeah.
it's really cool, man. And you should definitely, I'm sure you are, but you should definitely be very, very proud of this accomplishment because it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen a hermit do.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's been incredible. I think a few months after the release, I went to an actual game night in my city where some people were organizing, and I saw like a room filled with people just playing Hermitcraft TCG, and that was like mind blown moment. So yeah, it's been so much fun too to see just people really exploit loopholes, don't they? Like it's insane. I thought I had things figured out, and then it's like, no, then you can do this, and what happens if this happens? And I'm like, well, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. What was Jevin's thing that we had you had to nerf because he was it was like a time skip or a
so he would use time skip, which was like you skip a turn, but then he'd also use the clock, which also allows to skip a turn. So he'd just constantly use those, and like the other hermit wouldn't get very many
We're
turns.
just gonna skip 5 of your turns, and I've just taken
so
you
I
out.
had to because of Jevin, I had to implement a bunch of rules and stuff. So
what a try hard, Jev.
He's really into TCGs in real life. I think he plays Magic.
Yeah,
so
he does. He goes to
knows,
competitions and stuff. Yeah, so he knows a thing or two, and obviously
wouldn't expect
finding
any
loopholes.
less.
Yeah, so cool, man. So cool. But and there was some luck there too. I mean, obviously, you had some people inspire you and stuff to kind of click that decision. But big shout out to Luke from Creo because in many instances where we've had encounters, he's been nothing but super professional. Really, really nice guy, good at what he does, and he made sure that all the fans that were buying these cards were going to be happy with their purchase. This wasn't some sort of influencer, snowing their audience with garbage. Like he made this such an amazing product that I haven't heard a single complaint about. So
he went above and beyond for sure.
It's been amazing. So what a find with Creo. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he like not that far geographically from where?
No, he's
I guess you used to live, right?
No, I'm still in
there?
that general area. He lives in Windsor, which is about 3 hours from me, also in Canada, Southern Ontario. So that was kind of a coincidence too.
I mean, you mentioned your little meatball. Is that what I heard you call?
Yeah.
You call your
my little meatball.
How's that going, man? How's fatherhood treating you?
It's I can't even describe it in words. Like I'll be honest, the first 2 months felt like 2 days. I'm not even exaggerating. It was just the fastest thing ever. And then the last month has slowed down a little bit, but now he's starting to like, you can see the wheels turning, right? He's like grabbing at things. He's kind of repeating like just coups and stuff that we do it to him. And he's wanting to sit up, and it's so cool to just see this little person develop in front of you. It's awesome.
How many months now?
Just turned 3 months a few days ago.
Oh, dude.
This is exciting.
He's a big boy too.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you guys were talking about your ages, and you guys are 5 months apart, and I'm only a few years older than, like 2 or 3 years older than both of you, but my oldest son is 26.
Wow.
He started early.
My daughter's 21. Yeah. So you're just getting started. But you're going to you have so much fun in front of you. I would encourage you, Beef. I am, as your elder, I would encourage you to watch the parenting podcast that we did about over a year ago, because it actually has got some gems in it, I think. And we did it, all of our podcasts we do with the prospect of, we don't presume to be the authority on anything, but sometimes the feedback that we get from the ether after we release something is very difficult to ignore. And parenting was one of them, that it really struck a chord in a very, very good way with a lot of people, especially new parents. And so it's I would say, just take it for what it is, but I'm assuming this is number one, right?
This is number one.
Yeah. So this is so exciting. It's so exciting to think about that, because for the record, my son was just born. He was also born 3 months ago, but it was actually 26 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it feels. It's so fast how fast that happens. So enjoy that journey, dude.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Papa Beef.
It's been so fun. Yeah.
Do you feel like having this child in your life has changed you already in any ways?
100%. Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't, there's probably something wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's because everything you do now is like you're thinking of this little guy, which is one of the main reasons why we're also moving. It's just better for him somewhere else, really. So that's why we're doing that. But yeah, everything you do is kind of for this little guy, and I want to spend as much time with him as possible. But then I'm also having to like work, so it's kind of tough, especially since I work from home, right? So I can hear him outside sometimes, and I'm like, well, I could just be out there, or I could be in here editing. Which one do I want to do? But yeah, it definitely changes you for the better, for sure, because you just become automatically, not that I think I was ever like a selfish person, but you definitely become more selfless instantaneously, pretty much.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much you were living for yourself before they come. And when they come, you realize this is all I'm living for is for them.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. We've made the joke on the podcast before that, that once my first was born, that's when I started not making left-hand turns, because I didn't like putting myself at risk. I had to be there for my son long term, you know? So I do make left-hand turns, for the record.
It's another one of these things that's going to start. No legs for me, no left-hand turns for you, and bridge.
A bridge for, so if anything that we've learned so far in this podcast, Beef, is that you know how to swing. You know how to just go for it. This TCG thing's just blowing my mind. You took a chance on me at the very beginning of the start of my Hermitcraft career, and starting this, the little side skit that we did that was really well received. I don't know if you ever caught the fan art or the animations that came of that, but it was really, really
so
good
funny
stuff. Yeah, super funny. So you know how to swing, and so I'm just gonna say, dirt or wood.
Wood or
dirt. So why would we say that? Just a handful of days ago, you had a video come out, and the title quite literally was, "Is this a video that will end my career?" or something to that effect, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say a couple things, and then I want to dive into the artistry of what you did. First and foremost, to every single person watching this podcast or listening, if you haven't yet, you absolutely must check out this latest video from Beef. And this is not this is, I swear to God, this is not a cookie cutter. Hey, we have a guest, go watch their stuff. We do this and we always mean it, but this is it is a travesty if you have not seen this video. It is so funny. You took the song Take On Me by Aha, and I'm going to let you tell the whole story, obviously, but you created this very, very interesting and artistic intro to your video. And watching it, both Impulse and I were just like, what?
Dude, I got chills.
I was confused on two levels. I was confused on how did I not know that Beef would swing this hard, because I knew about the TCG stuff. Why did this shock me that he put together this intro? And how is nobody seeing this video? It's very, very frustrating, because this is so good that everybody must watch this video. So it was so funny, everything about it. Tell me from ideation to all the way to fruition. Take us through that, because I have my own stories I want to share with you, but I got to hear your take on this first.
Sure. Well, first, thank you for the kind words. It's really nice to hear. I appreciate it. It was, so before the season even started, I kind of wanted to do just some fun stuff. Like I said, I like just being silly and just being creative. And I've done a bunch of things over the years where I just throw some stuff out there, see what happens. So I just wanted to do like song parodies. I actually reached out to Captain Sparkles for some tips and tricks, and he let me know that it's a dangerous area to be in because of copyright strikes and IDs and stuff. So I had to tread carefully. I reached out to a couple people about actually making the instrumentals for these songs, because the lyrics are no problem for me. Like I can kind of just come up with the lyrics easily. I don't know if that's a thing that is that like a talent?
Maybe? It is.
Yes, it is.
Dude. Yep. Yeah, your lyrics were on fire, man. I was
funny.
Like, as you were the first time I heard it, I was really paying attention, and I was like, this is really well written.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what else? I also knew that you wrote them. Like you said, I knew you probably reached out for some of the music stuff. I think Ellie Beatmaker was involved as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when I was listening to the lyrics, I was like, Beef wrote these. Yeah. Like I know he did, and they're amazing.
And I sang them too, unfortunately.
No, dude,
great.
I was like, I literally said the first time I listened to it, I was like, wow, he's got some nerves going for those high notes. I couldn't do it, but you did it, and you nailed it, man.
Oh, I don't know about the nailing it, but I did contemplate actually just hiring somebody to sing for me, and then Ellie was kind of like, if you want me to auto-tune it when it's done, you can ask me to auto-tune it. And I sent it to him after it was done. He's like, just leave it the way it is. It's much really charm. Authentic.
Yeah.
I am so glad there was no auto-tune, because it's got so much charm with how raw it is, but it's also not so raw that it's not good. It's just, it's like right in that, like you're just hanging out with your buddy in the living room and they sing and you're like, that's not too bad, man. You know what I mean? Like it was right in the pocket is how it felt to me. Yeah.
One of the best comments I got was somebody said it sounded like a Weird Al song. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. If it sounds like a Weird Al song,
huge compliment. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Love it. So I just decided to do something silly, and then kind of snowballed like, hey, I'll make like a quick little music video for it, or should I do the whole song? Yeah, let's do the whole song. Like it just it is what it is. It kind of just happened, and I'm glad it did. It was fun.
It's so cute and it's so good. And my thing was this, is that instantly the second it started playing, my brain was like, okay, this is Take On Me by Aha. No words had been sung yet. It was just the intro to it. And I'm like, this is Take On Me by Aha. And this is
Ellie's so talented.
Yeah, I'm like, but it's not. And then next thing I know, when I was expecting, it wasn't that. It was that. He had taken the same notes, rearranged them so you felt it, but it wasn't that. And then
little trick to get away with so you didn't get copyright strike.
Right. And then Beef comes in and sings from a vocal melody. It was the same exact vocal melody, but different words, obviously. And so I was like, okay, is there going to be some sort of copyright ding here? And I'm thinking, I don't think there can be. I think you're safe, right? But a few episodes ago, I had kind of cast my pyramid to the side for a few episodes. So it was time to get back at it. And I did this intro where I sang acapella version, Disturbed's version of The Sound of Silence, right? I didn't change the words, but there was no music, and I'm not a good singer, so I was not worried about copyright, and I got dinged. I'm now
no way.
Oh yeah, I got dinged, and it was not my singing. I think it quite literally was the transcribing of the words themselves. I think the fact that the words was the exact lyrics, I think that was enough, which is weird to me. It begs the question: how many words do you have to get right in a row for it to now be copywritten. But in any case, I was like, I'm safe here. I'm not a good singer, and there was no music, and the tempo was different. I'm going to be fine. And I got dinged. So now I'm analyzing what you did with this Take on Me by Aha, and I'm like, okay, but it's not the same melody. But it's the same notes, but it's not the same melody, but it's the same vocal melody, but not the same words. I think you're good.
Yeah, it's a parody, right? You're allowed to do parodies, but it's just that YouTube is very stringent, and it's really hard to like if they ding you for something, it's super hard to like overturn it. So that's the frustrating part. But technically, it's a parody, so people should be able to do parodies, no issues. But yeah, I think Ellie totally nailed it with the beat. Like it sounds like it, but sounds completely different at the same time. And then he slowed it down a little bit too, which was more challenging for me with those high notes because I had to hold them longer. But yeah, no, he absolutely nailed the music. So far so good. It's kind of up there, sort of like a let's see what happens sort of thing.
Doesn't you at one point say? Doesn't he say like, my inventory's full or something?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That was awesome, man. So, here's the thing, like, because we're content creators and we kind of have a pretty good understanding of what that was going to take for you to pull that off, right? Like the writing and the working with, musicians and Ellie Beatmaker but aside from that, like you also made a full blown like music video, right? Like it's not just a song and you're just in Minecraft doing whatever. You had a full-blown music video vibe going where you had the camera angles from either flashback or replay mod, and then you had like the black and white scenes, and so it was very similar to what you would see if it was a music video on like MTV or whatever. That also is a tremendous undertaking. So not only did you have the writing of the music and the making of the music, but you had the video making part of it as well. How long from start to finish did that 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, I don't know what it came out to, take you?
It was 4 minutes. 4 minutes and 4 seconds.
Okay. Oh, see, it was so good. It flew by.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a good sign, right?
Yeah, it's a good sign.
I think the lyrics I just did in like a few minutes. Like it's pretty easy for me to just replace and stuff for some reason. I don't know why. My wife thinks it's pretty interesting too, but to me, it's really maybe it's a special power. So really, the lyrics didn't take that long at all. Ellie took I think he was on holidays too, so it probably didn't take him too long. But I think I contacted him, and a couple weeks later it was ready. So it probably would have taken him a lot less time. Honestly, after I contacted him, within like an hour, he had like the first 30 seconds, and I was like, dude, that's perfect. That's like
amazing.
Perfect. So then he finished it afterwards. And then the recording of the video is probably what took the longest with replay mod. Unfortunately, it takes a long time to do these little clips and scenes and stuff. So that probably took me an entire morning to record all those little clips, and then the rest of the day to just put it all together with the editing and stuff. So so all in all, not too long. If it wasn't for the video, it probably would have been relatively quick.
And the title, I mean, it's so cool, man. The title, was that like you were worried that people weren't going to enjoy your singing, and that's why I was going to end your career? Or were you worried about the copyright strike taking down your channel or something? A little
column A, a little column B. But mostly it was about the singing. It's like, I don't know, this is just so like raw and not really refined that people are going to either hate this or they're going to think it's great. I think the comments have pretty much 99% have been positive comments, so that's been nice. But it was really more about like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Sort of.
Yeah, yes. That's what it is. And we had Mumbo on our show a while ago, and he one of his pieces of advice is whenever you have an idea that you think is stupid, lean all the way in and just see it through. And that just struck a chord with me because I tend to swing anyways, but even I have my reservations on certain decisions. I think I'm like in my own brain. And when I did the Sound of Silence inside my pyramid thing, my brain was like, okay, Skizz, here's the deal. Mumble may have said, if you think it's stupid, lean all the way in, but he didn't mean if you thought it was this stupid. You know what I mean? And so I've had different animations. I've done it at a dream sequence. I did this and that. And when I remember, Beef, after I had done the Sound of Silence intro and I had done all the replay mod stuff to where the camera's just kind of like ominously going through as I'm singing this really dark acapella, when I went to hit publish, I hovered that mouse over that submit for a considerable amount of time because I'm like, the video is done. It's already done. But this might be the video that makes the public go, all right, this cat's lost his marbles. You know what I mean? Like he's absolutely lost his mind. And I'm like, you know what? Click. And I
We
clicked
thought
on
that
it.
a long time ago. Your marbles have been lost for a long time.
yeah. This is not a new development. And yeah, they were, but it was like you were saying, just like with the Earth stuff, it was really, really well received. And so like, what the heck was I so afraid of, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing more of this stuff from Beef. The pressure's on, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a few other songs already written.
Nice.
Keep it up,
It's-
dude.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, we'll see how this one goes.
I was like, when I got done watching that segment of your last video, I was just like, I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as a peer and in the same industry doing this, like, I was like, yes, that's the fire that I need to see other people have to reignite the fire in me to want to do more, step out of my comfort zone, do more things that I might deem like, you know, silly, you know, and that I don't push myself to do. And I was like, he did it. He just proved it can be done. And that was super inspirational for
Yeah.
me. And so I was just like, hats off to Beef, man, like for pulling the trigger on that, because that must have been, yeah, you must have been a little bit nervous, and just, you know, like Skizz was with his.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, definitely nervous. Definitely nervous.
dude, people
but
got to
yeah,
see it.
it's-
People got to
Just,
see it.
just take a chance. Just go nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And Beef, anytime, if you ever want a cameo in one of these, dude, I'm just saying, if you're like, I'm just saying, if you ever think that this, like one of your videos, they you'd be like, oh, it'd be good to have a second person. And if your description of Skizz happens to fit it, dude, I am all in to do a cameo in one of these, because that was just too
Background
much fun.
vocals. You want to do background vocals?
I absolutely will. Like whatever you want, dude. I can just walk along the
Oh,
background if
man.
you want, but I
Nice.
really enjoyed it, man. So keep that in
So
mind.
cool. So
I
cool.
appreciate it.
So Beef, you've been doing this a long time. All right. This is the point of the podcast where we put you on the hot seat a little bit. You've been doing this a long time, as we talked about. You started your channel in 2011, so 14 years. What's next for you, man? Like is it more just keep going, keep doing what you're doing, keep innovating, keep coming up with ideas, or I mean, what do you got left? What are we feeling for next?
So I think I've got a bunch of ideas in the pipeline that all are kind of Minecraft centric anyway. So I don't think I'm going to stray too far from Minecraft, but I've got a few ideas that I've really been itching to get off the ground. But the last couple of years have been so nuts for me. Like we've been renovating a house. We're trying to get it ready for sale, and then we got pregnant. Then we have a baby, and it's like there's just so much happening that I don't feel the sort of the mental space to kind of tackle these things. But there are a bunch of things, a couple currently in the works, but a bunch of things that I've been wanting to do for a long time that hopefully after this move is complete, where I don't have to worry, I don't have that in the back of my mind, like, oh, you know, I got to sell this house, then we got to do this, then we got to go here and do that. As soon as all that stuff is done, I'm hoping that I can kind of just be a little bit more creative and stuff and just really, again, just go for it and just see what happens sort of thing. But yeah,
That's
I'm always thinking up new things, and I love Minecraft. Like it's just so special how much you can do with it. Like it's absolutely insane. And the freedom, the creative freedom it allows you to have in the game space is just it's almost limitless, I'll say. So
Yeah.
I'm pumped to try a bunch of new things. I'm very
Oh,
excited.
that excites me, dude.
That's cool.
That excites me to know that you got some stuff, at least in your head, that's coming, that keeps you jazzed about this.
Oh,
Because you know, you think, oh man, been doing this for at least a decade and more, and
I know.
it's like, oh, you know, is there anything left in the tank? Is there anything left to do? You know, after a decade, is what
There's
haven't
always
you
stuff to
done?
do.
You know, but like you said, Minecraft has they call it a sandbox game, and there's so many
Yeah.
grains of sand in that sandbox that are left to be discovered still. And you keep innovating, and obviously your brain works in a very special way to where you've come up with thing after thing after thing. I mean, like I had completely forgot about the Abba thing. That like came to my mind as Skizz was telling the story about what you guys did day one.
Yep.
And like I was like, oh my god, I forgot Beef invented that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you've come up with so much, man. You're a national treasure at this point
Yeah.
to the
Thank you.
Minecraft.
Which nation?
community.
Canada or the U.S.?
Yes, all of them. Yeah, and if you're moving to a new nation, you're going to be treasure in that
there you
nation
go.
as well. So
There you go.
it's super cool, man. And and that's exciting. I can't wait to see what you do next. You know, it's you always have good stuff. So that's exciting to see.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Now you got the baby. You got the baby to focus on for a little bit. You got a move coming. That's a lot.
The meatball. I love that nickname.
The little meatball. He's about as round as one too at this point.
that's
I gotta love
side.
that stage.
Yeah.
Gotta love that stage. Sometimes it
know,
takes
it's the
years for that to go away.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'll tell you, Beef, this has been a complete pleasure, man. It really has. Thanks for giving us your time and being on the show. And I'm looking forward to the next time that we're able to cross paths on the Hermitcraft server or any other time. Maybe there's a convention in the future. Probably not, but maybe I'd like to meet you in person, but you know, I'm not going to count it off. Maybe one day. And if not, that's okay too. But again, thank you for giving us your time. And I want to echo Impulse's sentiment here that I didn't think I needed help being inspired, but I feel more inspired after that video because I'm like, see, this is what I'm saying. This stuff like this, man. You know what I mean? I do love the Hermitcraft stuff. I do like this, but I really enjoy the editing and the creation of what enters the public's eyes. You know what I mean? In their ears. And that's that makes me want to just see. I mean, maybe I'm not going to be happy until I do something like what Beef did and it's bad. You know what I mean? Maybe I need to keep going until it's bad. Like whatever I did is like really, really bad. And then I'll dial it back a little bit. Right. But it's been
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been such a good time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. It's been fun hanging out. All right, man. We'll let you get back to your little one and the rest of your life.
And we'll see you on the server, man.
Yeah, we'll see you on the server for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. See you, dude.
Bye.